Okay, do we have a volunteer for the invocation? Thank you, Karsten.
Our dear Heavenly Father, as we come before Thee, we're grateful for the opportunity to live in such a wonderful place. We're grateful for our families and our friends and our wonderful community and the school that we have. Help us to make good decisions for the school this evening. We say these things in the name of Thy Son, Jcusd. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Karsten. Okay, that brings us to adoption of the agenda.
The last agenda. No, this agenda.
Yep. So I'll make a motion that we adopt the agenda with a couple of changes. I'd like to move, where is it? 8B, and bring it up to after the reports. After consent agenda. There we go. We'll do it after consent agenda. So 8B after consent agenda. And let's also move 1G down to 8E. We'll make it 8E. We'll put it down at let's make it 8B.
Just swap those.
Just swap those. Let's swap those. Okay. Kind of, sort of. Are we okay with that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion needed on that? Everybody all right with that? Well, let me write that down.
I'm going to do the minutes for the last one.
Yeah, just a second. Okay. We got to have a vote on that. So myself, yes. Karsten?
Yes.
Dayton?
Yes.
And Andrew?
Yes.
Want me to do that?
Yeah, okay. That brings us to 1F. Go ahead, Karsten.
I motion that we accept the minutes for the regular board meeting of 12/14/21. I'll second. Do we need to change anything? It looked right to me, but.
Fine to me.
Okay. Okay, call for the vote. Myself, yes. Dayton? Yes. Andrew? Yes. Eldon?
I'll abstain.
Okay.
Who seconded that? Was that Dayton?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so we moved 1G down, so let's go to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Board President. And before I get started, just reviewing some things, we had a couple of board members that were able to make the annual conference for the Arizona School Boards Association. And I don't know, I was going to ask you if you'd rather do this as part of my report, current events, or maybe at the end of the meeting, like future agenda items or upcoming things of that nature. Would you guys, or since I didn't warn you that I was going to see if you wanted to say anything about it, we could put it off to next month, whatever. Just wait.
I'll talk.
Okay, for now?
That's fine.
Go ahead.
There was not as many people there as there have been in the past. Steve also went.
Yeah.
With us. On a side note, I liked it better this year than the last year. There was a lot of vendors. I actually met some of the vendors. It's fun to go talk to them. Yeah, we're doing this at your school right now, and some of the people were looking at getting bids for buses were there and talked to us a little bit about it. Some things, different opportunity to network with other board members. To me, that's the biggest thing that's there. There was a couple that I do want to talk to some people more about some opportunities I think that to bring internet classes into our school for an opportunity to kind of spread out, because gifted and stuff like that, we don't have that big of opportunity because of how small we are, but there might be some opportunities to bring some things in like that. I know we do some of it to check on that and see where things are, but it was a good opportunity to see that schools are up and going and trying to go through all this COVID, and that there's a lot of people dealing with COVID way worse than we are and having way bigger problems than we are in public schools. So those are some things I got from it.
Dayton, anything you'd like to add?
I would say the food was worse. But it's just my opinion. It was good to interact with other board members and kind of just learn different things from different people, different perspectives and stuff.
The legal stuff.
Yeah.
Those breakouts, right?
There was some legal stuff that's coming down because of COVID and these other things. I remember one lady stood up and made a big fuss about the religion part of how are you supposed to exempt people on religious benefit, because of all that. And they had to kind of calm her down a little bit. She was pretty emphatic. I don't know which way she leans. I don't care, but I guess they have quite an issue of that in her school, of people trying to get exemptions to have, in her opinion, no right to do it religiously. But how do you stop it, and what are we going to do about that as a state and the issue there? So
I've seen similar things like that before. It's almost like they get mad at the messenger.
yeah,
People are just giving information, and their anger sometimes passion's directed. Anyway, okay. Thank you guys. If anything else comes up or you want to share anything, just let us know. I appreciate your attendance, and Steve as well. He gave me a little report on it. Julie for getting the rooms and getting everything lined out for that conference.
just think through it went well.
A few things that I'd like to add to my written report. I'll clarify any questions you have on it or add to it, but some things that are coming up here that are worth noting. Definitely at the elementary school, they're going to start tutoring again. So we are being hit pretty hard by COVID. I mean, hard could be a relative term though. So I don't think we have very many students that are being hospitalized that I've heard of, but and some people aren't even getting tested. But where we're being hit is the absence of students and staff still. So that is hard. It's hard to operate a school when you have those kind of absences. It's hard to get continuity and consistency with math and reading and all these things when you don't have your students in class on a regular basis. So at the elementary school, they did a great job the first semester. They measured this growth, but how the students that might have been a little bit behind made gains. So they have an after-school tutoring program led by Mr. Mosier, Ruth Hansen, and they break into small groups, and it's successful, and that'll be starting up here soon. So we're excited about that. That's worth a lot to us, especially during COVID. So that's a good use of our money. So I want to point that out. LSW, some engineers, we had talked a long time ago at a workshop about having these guys come in and do an assessment that would tell us if we could maybe go away from, like, there were questions on our maintenance costs, annual maintenance costs. If we could go away from the bigger plant system and go to like more smaller units, that would be more economical. They were actually scheduled to be here tomorrow. It looks like the engineer assigned to it may have COVID, and so they rescheduled for the 27th of this month. But this assessment, now we are paying for this, but the SFB mentioned that if the project is to go, then they would help us with this. They verbally said that, our liaison. But anyway, it would be a big project to replace our systems with smaller units. that is coming up this month. I believe our buses have been ordered. The business office is working on it. The one bus may be here in February. The other one is going to take a few months, maybe 7 months, to get here. So that is coming. We have a person who hasn't lived here in a long time, but was a Joseph City resident and loves the town and community, and is going to donate some money to start a scholarship here. And this person asked to be anonymous as much as possible. So once we line the, and she wants, well, I just said she said that.
That's only 50% of people now.
To the point possible, stay anonymous. So this would be starting this year, a smaller amount until she passes, and then it would be like set up in the trust. We got to organize this, and there's some requirements like writing an essay, living in a small town in this community, and it's very nice of her to do this. And I probably, so out of respect to her, I'll do like an executive board members only thing next month where I tell you who that is, but if we could protect that as much as we can, since that was the request. And so, yeah, I thought it was huge. And that happened over the Christmas, right at the Christmas break, something like that. And we had the cars we worked on, they are out here now and they appear to be doing great. This is the end of, so we had a 2-year block for irrigation shares. That should be coming up hopefully by next month. Another thing that we are, so to renew it, like the last time we did this, it's like a 2-year lease. So they pay the assessment fee or whatever for 2 years. We could change that. It's just what we had set up for that term, but that's up this year. Also, let me see here. Lost train of thought. If you see anything on my report that you have questions about, feel free to let me know to ask. I'll try to get that set up. The intent to return. So we are getting, Mr. Flake had asked me about this earlier this month. Mr. Mills puts that out. It's confidential, and it's just to staff who is going to return and who. It's not binding, but it gives us an idea for planning, because our principals and managers need to go out and recruit teachers to fill these spots. So that should be going out shortly. We've been hit pretty hard with COVID here in all aspects of the school. You couldn't find a department where we haven't been hit. So, but that is coming.
I have a question about
Go ahead.
if the school sends them an intent to return, does that automatically mean that we intend to keep them next year?
No. No, this is like a one-way question.
Okay.
It's a question that's like, if you were offered a contract, are you planning on returning? It's like just to screen out somebody, say there's somebody out there that has no intent on returning. They're selling their house, just to make sure we know that's what this tries to catch.
I just want to, if we do, we need to make sure that everybody's in agreement to keeping them if we do send that out, and it means that they have a job.
Yeah, good point. No, that's we're very careful with that. That's why I have them send it out, because we don't want to give the wrong impression.
Okay.
One way type of question. Okay, and then so the rest of the things are. One thing on the report I did want to bring your attention to, in case you haven't had a chance to go through it. I was notified about the board positions that are coming up at the end of this year, and that is Dayton and Rhonda. And they also said, they told me about, and in an email, how the process to renew and get back on it, or for anyone else who would like to run. If it's not contested, then it's usually not I don't think they make it up, put it on the ballot, but anyway, that's on my report there. So that's good for you guys to know and make preparations to either do that or not. But another little interesting item is a softball scorekeeping box. Working on that probably in-house. Not like the boys, but something that kind of is equivalent to some degree, where you can have a scorekeeper get up there, or announce or something like that. Since the boys have it, and
Putting speakers there too.
I have not seen the plans. I told them make sure we get a permit. This one, I got a feeling it's going to go kind of slow until the weather gets better. They have not submitted plans to me, but I did want to give you guys a heads up that I told them to go ahead and proceed with making plans.
So they're pulling power into it and the whole.
I think we have power out there from the scoreboard.
Yeah, that's the little tiny box thing that it sets on. That's what I'm saying. So how big are we going here? Are we going where we're pulling power because they don't have any kind of a PA or anything. All they have is power for the scoreboard.
Yeah, when I get those plans, I think I'll let you guys take a look. I think it was on top of one of the dugouts somehow.
The power might even go to the scoreboard and then back.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I don't know.
But I
No,
doubt
it does
you're
plug
pulling
in.
how much power. You're probably only pulling enough to run that scoreboard, not enough to
Well, that's what I'm saying.
throw a
I
couple
think-
lights on.
I know where the breaker for that scoreboard is, and that's what we're saying. I think the power actually goes to the scoreboard, and then you just plug in the scoreboard controller up there, and that's what allows you to turn the power on. I don't think there's actual power up there. It could be curious. And if you're going to put it on the roof of the dugout, I'm assuming we know that roof is going to.
I can't imagine
Hold.
either of them are strong enough to hold, but the wall is strong enough, and the fence, I would assume, is strong enough if you mount it to that, not that actual sitting weight on the roof. If it's sitting on those two things, then it would
Oh, it's just something to
probably
think
be
about.
fine.
I definitely will. I'll check on this. Eric and Brad kind of wanted to take the lead, so I let them, but I told them to make sure we get the permit and all the plans approved. If you go for a permit, they're going to want to see all the plans, you know. So,
Depending on the size, you might not have to have a permit for it, though.
Commercial, everything's permitted.
That's true. That part of it is.
these things.
Nothing's free.
While the crosswalk they told us would be done a month ago out here in front of the elementary still isn't done. I need to check up on that. It's just sometimes, this stuff takes a while to get going. I mentioned those things coming from APS in my report, the funds, and then also the buses. We were able to talk to a mechanic or two about this, and we feel like we're going with the right unit, the right buses. I mean, they have some of the top rated AC units and stuff on them. Pretty much the lowest, if you were comparing apples to apples. So it's a route bus and a trip bus, or like extracurricular activity. We think we're on the right.
And you were looking at putting extra leg room in the.
Yes, it's an good question, because I don't know if I had mentioned this, but it's an international bus. I think the company that sells it is MRI, some acronym like that, but it's international. And Larry was one of the folks they got a hold of. But we're getting a little bit longer bus, and then taking out one of the seats. The little bit longer bus gives a little more leg room, but then removing one of the seats and having them arranged will give even a little more leg room. That's the plan. For these long trips to Fredonia and these places, I think it makes a big difference with the coaches and kids. But
Yeah, some coaches don't fold up as well as they used to. I'm one of them.
You don't fit in your suitcase anymore.
so other than that, I'll field any questions or anything that you guys have, but I'll keep the meeting going.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Fields. there anybody signed up for a call to the public? All right, that means I don't have to read that. That takes us to number 4, consent agenda. There's 4A and 4B. That's all there is. I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
I'll second it.
Any discussion needed? Okay, call for a vote. Karsten?
Yes.
Satan?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yep.
Myself, yes. That brings us to the one that I bumped up. So that would be update on breakfast in the classroom program.
And John Joyner from SFE is here. Thank you, John.
Everyone should have one of these that I basically a breakdown. Mr. President, board members, it's that annual time of year where we have to just discuss breakfast in the classroom. It's part of the regulation that we have to. And pre-COVID, this conversation sometimes could get a little heated on whether it was a benefit in terms of what was the cost effective of BIC. Well, in this case, in current situation with the USDA and ADE making every meal reimbursed at the free rate, it really isn't a discussion of if you're making money off, because you're making a lot of money off of it, because every year, if you look at the per reimbursement line, you're getting $2.46 per breakfast we serve, no matter if the kid is paid, reduced, or free. So that's the free rate. So everybody eat, and we're getting the reimbursement for as if they were all free students. So looking at that, the elementary school has served 10,319 breakfasts so far this year. It's averaging about 143 breakfasts a day.
John, can I interject just one thing, just to make sure we don't talk about this all the time. So like they get these numbers from if a kid takes a breakfast, the teacher has to document it. So if a kid doesn't take a breakfast, the name isn't written down or checked off, or if the teacher forgets, and that does happen occasionally, we try to remind them, but then it's not counted either. But so that reimbursement is only for the ones that take breakfast.
And so far for the elementary school, BIC has generated $25,410 in revenue. At the high school, we've served 16,202, an average of 225 meals per day, which has generated almost $40,000 in revenue. So looking at that combined, that's $65,000 in revenue that BIC has generated for the school district. I've put down there the added costs. If you look at the labor cost, I put 4 hours a day compared to what if we were doing it eating in the cafeteria. That's to pack the bags, to roll the food down and to roll the food back, and probably some custodial. That I only think I account for about 3, but I figured there's other people in the district that are affected and have to do more work. So I put 4 in there. I put $16 an hour. I don't have anybody that makes $16 an hour. That's just to incorporate
Benefits.
Yeah, their benefits. And also it did, I'm not gonna lie, it did bump 2 employees into being eligible for paid time off. So that's why all but one of my employees makes $12.80. So that 16 is probably a little high. So it's cost $4,600 extra in labor to run BIC. The food cost is where we're getting hit the hardest. I don't know where you guys are with the supply chain and getting product. Currently, USDA is not offering any surplus fruit cups. So I'm having to put the fruit cups in the BIC. We're having to pay full price from Shamrock for the fruit cups. Also, the entrees, we're dealing with individually wrapped entrees, and I'm having right now most of the cheaper ones are out of stock in Shamrock. So I'm actually having to bring in more expensive entrees, which isn't a bad thing. The kids are getting, but it's costing the program more money. So that's where the food cost comes in. So when you subtract the labor and the food cost from the revenue, I estimate that we have made about $27,000 off the BIC program, or the net benefit of the BIC program is about $27,000. And not knowing for sure, but Blue Ridge is we run Blue Ridge School District as well, and their liaison, their food service liaison, is on a board with ADE and USDA. And from what she's hearing, they're actually going to extend the free breakfast and lunches through the next year as well. So if that's the case, this would be the result of BIC next year as well. Other than that, I mean, I know some of you had concerns when we did renewal documents about the negative guarantee, and I assured you that we wouldn't be at that number. Right now, currently, as in our food service account, we are positive 19,000, or no, positive 21,000 versus negative 18,000 last year. So there, in this year, we've made improvement of 39,000. We usually typically lose money every month before COVID. I estimate this year, December will be the only month that the food service program loses money, simply because there are only 9 days of service. So it's hard to generate enough revenue to be profitable with only 9 days of service. But no, everything in food service is going well. We have a really good team here. They all seem to get along. Everybody, no issues. Everything seems to be moving forward. I'm very impressed with the job my people are doing here.
Thank you.
Yes. Questions?
Anybody got any questions?
No. How many students we have in the elementary?
192.
Do you know how many we have?
Yeah, it's over 200, I would say.
If you count the junior high and the high school.
Or I mean, together? Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, elementary had like 5 additional students over the break.
Good.
Not that, but yeah. So our total ends up being like 420, 430 district-wide.
Oh, district-wide.
Any other questions? All right. Hey, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Appreciate the information.
Anytime. I like letting you guys know when things are going good. So
Yeah. It's wonderful.
One positive sign for COVID, I guess. Okay. That brings us to personnel 5A. I'll make a motion that we approve Tanya Chi as a volunteer elementary and a renewal for Jody Balda as pool maintenance worker.
I'll second.
Any questions?
Just technicality, I did list her as a renewal, but it's
actually a hire.
yeah, it's kind of a different.
Because it's a different name.
Position. Yeah.
So one question that goes with that: are we looking at finding somebody willing to learn to train lifeguard, or somebody that already knows other? I mean, because you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard spot if you only got one person that can train lifeguards and can't fit time in with that one person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would be great, but it's unlikely. That's why she wanted to stay on and she would do the training, you know. But if we could find someone who could already do that, but even if we can't, we can get that person certified if there's an interest.
I'd say maybe that should be a question when you're looking for a pool manager. Are you willing to be certified to train lifeguards?
Okay, definitely.
Because I mean, it'd be nice if you had 2 people that could do it, so you're not stuck to
Yeah, absolutely.
a schedule.
Sometimes we just have to Holbrook or Winslow for training, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I will.
Any other questions or concerns? Okay, call for the vote. Dayton?
Yes.
Andrew? Myself, yes. Karsten?
Yes.
All right.
Alderson seconded that.
Dayton.
Dayton. Okay, that brings us to 5B. I'll make a motion that we approve the personnel appointments as listed.
I'll second that.
Do we have any discussion needed? The vote, Andrew? Myself, yes. Karsten?
Yes.
Dayton?
Yes.
Thank you.
I should, just because it's relevant, not these particular individuals, but I was asked by a board member too about if we have over 100 employees, and came up today, it would be questioned if we count all the concessions and event workers that we just kind of started with this year, that would take us over. So that's something that we all should be aware of. And that vaccine mandate still isn't being enforced in Arizona. I've looked into that, but technically all these student workers probably takes us over the limit because part-time work.
Just a little side note on that. APS just barely came out with an email yesterday saying that the state is now, and that by like February 4th, APS is going to be compliant with that.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Might want to check into that again.
Okay, yeah.
It might just be APS going above and beyond. They like to do that sometimes, but it might be actual.
Sure.
They're doing it.
Well, and the other thing is,
Does it have to be full time or?
well, and then employees under the age of 18.
Yeah,
We could probably maybe fight this, but
I'm just saying.
I would think so.
Go on.
Especially if you have employees that are not.
yeah.
They only do a couple of hours in a month.
Well, and then under the age of 18, I mean, I don't agree with telling anybody, but I'm sure as heck not going to tell
Right.
a minor what to do.
Yeah. I would.
You know, I don't want to tell an adult, but I definitely don't think it's right to tell a minor. That's way out of whack.
Good point. So the information I was getting was from these attorneys with our school insurance. They did a big release, and
Okay.
I thought for sure that would be it's going to be tied up. I thought for sure, according to this letter.
Well, we got an email last month saying it was tied up in court and that it wasn't going to happen and don't worry about it. And then we got one yesterday that said total reversal.
That might have to do with their ACC board.
Who knows? Yeah. I would just check on it again.
Okay, I will.
And maybe when you're doing, say, well, what workers count? I mean, because there has to be a definition on
We have
it,
a policy now. We don't do it.
Yeah.
right? There has to be a definition on that. What is considered a worker? Full time?
I can't imagine a
part-time,
student counts as a worker for the school.
Well,
But
I think the easiest thing to be, but we're talking government again. If they qualify for benefits, they're a worker. I would think we're probably under 100 on that.
Yeah.
By a long shot. Well, not a long shot, but 100. Okay, we already voted on that, right? Okay, so that brings us to 6. 6A is approval of regular meeting date and times. I'll make a motion that we leave our regular meeting date and times the second Tuesday at 6 o'clock.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Anybody? I mean, I'm open to change. If
I
anybody
think we
wants
also
to.
need to put in here whether we're going to continue to broadcast them.
We could discuss it. It doesn't have to be part of it. Whatever you guys want.
But I mean, I think this is the time to put it in if we're going to, as far as if we're going to continue to broadcast them like we have been. I'm fine with it.
How many people have we got?
Jason could tell us. He could run a report on it. That would be good information to bring back to you guys.
I think there's more than you realize.
Yeah.
Rather,
I know that people are listening because I get comments from people that haven't been here about things that go on here. So
yeah, so I think it's a good thing.
I don't have a problem with leaving them. It doesn't hurt my feelings. So
Well, no action is really needed on it.
they can stand to listen to me and look at my ugly face. More power to them.
1, 2.
Yeah. So let's see. What did we say? Second Tuesday, right?
At 6 o'clock, the same as it is now.
She's 16. All right. Let's call for the vote on that. Myself, yes. Karsten?
Yes.
Dayton?
Yes.
And Andrew?
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to 6B. I'll make a motion that we approve the senior class fundraiser.
I'll second.
Any discussion needed? I saw on the thing that this is their second fundraiser.
That's correct. This is probably, they like doing this winter formal dance too, so.
I thought we always did that. I didn't even know that that was fundraiser.
Not all the time,
Okay.
I guess. They call it winter formal, actually, I think.
Who seconded this? Yeah, I think they do call it next day. Any other discussion? Call for the vote. Karsten?
Yes.
Dayton?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Myself, yes. That brings us to 6C. I'll make a motion that we approve the softball fundraiser.
I'll second it.
I see that this is their first one, is that right?
Yep, that's what it says.
So we talked about, and this was months ago because I haven't been here for months, about we were only going to approve it after that. The first one was automatic and the second one is needed to be approval. Have we not implemented
The
that?
problem was, and I don't know if I did a good job explaining that, right after that, during our audit review, they said that you can't do that.
Oh, figures. That
It wasn't tied to what they didn't even know what we decided.
Uh-huh.
It's the thing. All fundraisers go through the board. But what we did was they don't have to wait for board. Like, it can be principal approved, and then we'll just bring it to the board as an
Kind of like being
FYI
ratified.
stamp it. Yeah, so it could have been on the consent.
Okay.
You're right. But so it was actually brought to our attention by the auditors. They told us to make sure our governing board passes all fundraisers. But we tell them if it's their first one, the principals or we could pass it or whatever.
Okay.
And let you guys rubber stamp it.
Sounds good. That got me straightened out. Thank you. Call for the vote, Karsten.
Yes.
Eight. Yes. Andrew.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay. Now that brings us to 7A, annual review of mission statement, staff code of conduct, and other related policies and regulations. There's no action on this, right? So we just open for discussion?
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion that we open for discussion 7A.
I'll second it.
This way it's documented on our agenda, and you also have input. Have follow-up meetings, but I'll take you to, I put them mostly on one attachment, so let me see if I can make it big. This is out of our policy, so pull it right out of policy manual. The mission. And anyway, you can see our goals statement. Board conflict of interest. This one is important. The ASBA and the Auditor General, they said they were really going to crack down on governing boards in the state on this. So we definitely want to bring, that's why they suggest we review it annually. And Steve had a reminder to do it in January.
That's the next one.
Yeah, well, there's two. Oh, okay. You're right. So this is just looks like I might have attached it.
This is just the vision and mission statement of the staff code.
You're right. So this reviews our those things that you mentioned, staff code of conduct, some of the legal things that are required out of that, but this is basically our stance on relationship with students and things that they shouldn't be talking about in classes and that nature. So we can pull that up if you'd like to review it.
To me, it's like putting a label on the cup that says coffee's hot. All that crap, you ought to understand it's not. Why are you teaching?
Yeah,
Lawyer junk.
sure.
knew how many hours we sat to put this together years ago, Andrew.
But it's like, really? You're kidding?
Yeah, no.
It had to be written?
Well, the one that we did this years ago when we made this one. The one that we got rid of and put this in its place was like 3 pages long.
Why don't we just put the 10 Commandments in? Forget it.
Well, because that probably wouldn't be seen as like separation of church and state.
The other way around.
Or whatever.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's probably no questions on this, but it's just, we do review these same exact things with staff every year, at the beginning of the year.
So you go over the code of conduct with them?
Yeah, either as sometimes the principals or managers will talk about it, but a lot of times it's an electronic sign off, so it's not so much redundant and you review the same thing. But depending on maybe the situations and how many years.
I think new teachers, I think, are shown this and stuff.
Yeah, I've been reviewing with all new employees of every year, just to make sure.
So I think we're good.
Okay.
This can be addressed at any time too. It doesn't have to be this month, but.
Well, I mean, this is just a discussion. You guys see them.
That we reviewed it.
That we've reviewed it. And then if one of us was like, I think we ought to think about changing it, then we can schedule that for later. So it's up to you guys.
I don't have anything.
Or if you have a problem with it and you don't want to, you can go to Mr. Fields later and say, you know what, we ought to really look at changing that. So, are we ready to move on to 8A? I'll make a motion that we open for discussion the annual governing board conflict of interest training.
I second it.
Thank you.
So you guys, I think you've already have one of these on file with us, but I believe Julie has a new form. So I think every year or so and just to make sure to keep everyone out of trouble, because they watch this and some cases throughout the state, I guess.
So are we signing this tonight?
Same. There's also rules for staff, but it's a little different with governing board and staff. So, but it is as serious with staff. Like accepting gifts would be totally out of line if you're within making a decision purchase. It's just another information item.
I think we do a pretty good job of this myself. I mean, we have people that abstain from stuff that they don't technically have to abstain from. So I think we watch ourselves pretty good on this.
The next item actually isn't an informational item because you'll be voting on that one, but we'll roll with it. It's the election of board officers.
Yeah.
Do they need to sign whether or not they have a conflict of interest? Steve wanted that filed after this.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to sign these.
We'll sign them and give them to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the one says to be completed only if only if your relatives not have a conflict of interest. Okay. But the first one, I'm reading that, says, I do hereby indicate that I am presently and that my relative, so I don't have any of these.
Then you do the second one on page 33.
Okay.
It's, and that, just because you're related to we're a small town, that doesn't mean there's conflict, Could be a cousin, brother,
Some of us
whatever.
are more relatives
Yeah.
than others, so.
Mostly finance live somewhere else, and things of that nature.
So we need to open that up for discussion, but even though we're gonna vote on it for,
The officers,
yeah.
no, you
think
just
I
make
would
a
do-
motion,
Oh,
or whatever.
Okay, so let's just make this easy. Does anybody have a desire to be the board president? Because that's the one we start first on.
I will do it again. That's where we're at. I can do it again next year if we want. But I'm fine not doing it as well. I'm just saying
That's what I'm saying.
I'll do it.
Doing it or not, if somebody really wants to do it. Andrew?
Looks like you're it. Make a motion, Elvin keeps it.
I'll second.
Don't worry, I won't do it 3 years in a row. I believe in, changing people up, so
Okay.
Carson, relax.
I'm willing to do it again. I don't mind. So. If you guys want me out, I'm fine with that.
Guess we call for the vote.
Okay, call for a vote. I'll go last. Andrew,
Yes.
Satan,
Yes.
Carson,
yes.
I'll vote yes. Or
Oh, no, doesn't
I
matter.
can abstain.
Yeah, you could abstain.
I can abstain.
Yeah, after you sign that paper.
I gotta find where it's at. 'Cause I moved it around. Hold on, bear with me. We need a clerk, board clerk as well.
I wish Rhonda was here to say whether she
Would do it.
felt up to it or not.
Considering how it went last time, I bet she would not mind if she was not the clerk.
But I would like her to be.
She does a good job of it.
Well, I think my computer just died. So
Can we wait until she's here so we can ask her about that? I mean, can we wait for the clerk a month?
Can we just say leave her for another month and then?
Yeah, we'll just wait for the board clerk for another month. Yeah, table it. There you go. So I'll make a motion, we table voting on a new board clerk.
Second.
We just have to notify the county. There's, I'll check.
Myself, yes. Karsten?
Yes.
Dayton? Yes. Andrew? All right. Now where?
I'm not seeing it either. It didn't,
What was that?
the page that you're supposed to sign.
It's not in here?
I can go,
That's all right.
print it out.
We'll get it to you, no stress, by next month. I hear right now, or we'll email it to you or something. Don't sign it if you're the one that qualified to sign.
Do they have to vote on tabling the clerk or no?
we should.
Yeah, we did.
We did.
And the county's asked they make these certificates for the board members for the swearing in or whatever, so I'll follow up on that tomorrow. But, we don't have a new clerk for that
Okay.
yet.
You seconded that, right? Was that right, Carson?
I have Carson.
I think so.
Okay. That brings us to, it's not on the list, but I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
We need to talk about
What?
future agenda
Oh,
items.
future agenda items. We don't have that on the list either. Anybody have any future agenda items? Okay.
And then our next board meeting is the 8th.
Next board meeting is,
We done voted on that earlier.
second Tuesday of
But at the end of the meeting, we're supposed to,
what the day is.
what the next one
Is
is.
there any conflicts on is it the 8th of, so the 1st of February is a Tuesday?
Apparently.
8th of February? Any conflicts on what's the school calendar show? I mean, it can't be any worse than tonight where everybody's in Heber.
Yeah, I didn't, I gave it a once over and didn't see any conflicts for me.
Okay. We'll settle on Tuesday then, February 8th. Now, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
I'll say yes, Carson,
Yes.
and Dayton,
Yes.
All right.
and Andrew. Okay.
Things to sign.
There's a stack of things over here. So,
Slow economic,
adjourn at 6:51.
what is that about?